Hi, everyone, and welcome to Gruff Talk, where each week we take a deep dive into all the ways we can feel better, look better, live better, and age better. I'm your host, Barbara Hannah Grufferman. You all know by now I'm obsessed with getting the newest, best, and most accurate information to help us all age better. Whether it's about taming the flames of inflammation or digging deep into the mysterious wonders of our microbiome, or understanding the muscle-saving magic of protein, or the topic of today's episode, fiber, I'm on it. The goal is always the same, to lengthen our health span and lifespan. Speaking of lifespan, credit where credit is due, right? Have you read the Blue Zones books by Dan Buettner? If not, add it to your must-read list. Dan dives deep into the lives of centenarians from around the globe. And guess what? Among the many incredible discoveries, fiber consistently shines as a star player in their diets. That's right, the longest living people on our planet eat a heck of a lot of fiber. But like you, I have questions like, how much fiber should I eat? What are the best sources? And do our fiber needs change as we get older? To answer these questions, I invited a superstar in the world of nutrition to come on the show. She's been on several times. Heidi Skolnik is a nutritionist and exercise scientist who works with professional athletes, Broadway stars, and also oversees performance nutrition for Juilliard and the School of American Ballet. She's written several books focusing on nutrition, and I should add that Heidi and I spent many years together serving on the board of the Bone Health and Osteoporosis Foundation, so we go way, way back. And if you've been listening to Gruff Talk for a while, I hope you have, you know that Heidi has been on the show a few times, including one time to talk about her New York Times best-selling and wildly successful book, The Whole Body Reset, a book Heidi co-wrote with Steve Perrine from AARP, which sheds light on how to stop age-related weight gain with the power of protein timing. If you've not read it, definitely get a copy. So, lots to talk about. Let's get this chat about fiber started. Stay tuned. Oh my gosh, I am completely obsessed with fiber right now. Absolutely obsessed with it. So that's why I wanted to invite my go-to nutrition expert to come onto the show to talk about why do longevity experts now call it the secret weapon to aging better and living longer. I really want to know this. So Heidi Skolnik, who is a sports nutritionist at HSS, that's the Hospital for Special Surgery in New York City. And she is also the co-author of the wildly successful New York Times bestselling book, The Whole Body Reset. And that book, Heidi, you'll be coming on in a second, that book made me obsessed with protein and when I eat protein and am I getting enough protein. So I get obsessed about these things. So Heidi, welcome back to Gruff Talk. This is like your third, fourth time, fifth time.
Love being here.
You're always here.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
Oh, it's so good to have you. And I really am obsessed with fiber and I'm eating probably way too many beans, but maybe not. Maybe I need to eat more. We'll get to that. So let's talk about this. There are so many studies out now that are showing, I'm also hearing it a lot from the Dan Buettner Blue Zones books and now the documentary that's running on Netflix about people who have diets that are high in fiber. They don't die prematurely. They can maybe sidestep some of those chronic diseases like cardiovascular disease and stroke and certain cancers compared to people who have less fiber in their diets. And I really want to talk about that. And that's going to be our focus today. So let's get started. Heidi, what is fiber and why is it so important?
So fiber is just the name given to carbohydrates that are not digestible. And then it's divided into soluble and insoluble, and both are important. They do a lot of different things. They help us with satiety. They help with regularity, right? Preventing constipation and providing enough to go regularly. so bulk and water. They can help our gut microbe. That's the big news flash. They can help lower our cholesterol or keep our cholesterol levels in check and decrease the LDL levels. And that's where it kind of ties in to lowering cardiovascular risk.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, it's found in nutrient-rich foods. So when you're eating fiber-rich foods, for the most part, you're also getting lots of other nutrients.
Right. So how does it play a role in the microbiome, which is, gut, like we want a more diverse gut microbiome. How does fiber do that? Just by keeping things moving along, as you put it before?
No, actually it's more than that, which is really because, for the past, I would say 5 to 10 years, first of all, we're just learning more and more each day. So whatever I say today, fast forward, a year or 2 years or 3 years from now, and there's going to be so much more we know.
So true. So true.
For the longest time, I think we were hearing about probiotics, right? And that was exciting to understand that, if you eat yogurt, there's this fermented, all of these cultures that we're introducing into our gut that helps keep our gut healthy. But it doesn't end with the probiotics. And in fact, it isn't just about that. And that's where this diversity that you're talking about comes in, because there are prebiotics, and the prebiotics feed the probiotics. And the more diverse your gut is with all of these microflora, and the more different types of fibers you're getting in through food, the healthier your gut will be. And so that's what the key is.
It's really fascinating to me. I would say probably about 6 months ago, I had a scientist on who that's all he focuses on is the gut microbiome. And we really went deep into that gut microbiome. And it was fascinating for everyone. You may want to just scroll back after this one and check that out. It was really quite fascinating and eye-opening. So it really, fiber also helps to, I'm just reading some notes here, stabilize blood sugar levels and even potentially prevent type 2 diabetes. Is this true?
Yes, only in that fiber helps to sort of slow down the amount of, if you have a pure sugar and how that elevates insulin levels, when you have something that's fiber rich, your body first has to break down and get through that fiber. And then, and then how does it prevent diabetes? Is it that you're eating more nutritionally rich foods? Is it that your weight is better managed? It's kind of hard to tease through all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then is it helping your microbiome? And that, we're learning more and more about all of the diseases that are helped through a healthy microbiome from even, I know one of your passions and how we met was through the bone health world. And so is it actually starts in your gut? Does osteoporosis and bone health start in your gut and how you absorb calcium, let's say? And I don't want to get into the weeds here because this is a little bit more short and sweet, but, it might have to do with short chain fatty acids and butyrate, all these different elements that are created as byproducts of this fermentation and the role it plays. There was a recent study, and maybe this is the one you're referring to, that was looking at this was a prospective study and a sample of the U.S. adult population with 86,642 participants. So we're talking large.
That's large.
Yeah, that's large. And it found that the dietary total fiber intake was statistically significantly inverse associated with all-cause death.
Incredible.
That's cardiovascular, that's cancer. And they found that both for soluble and insoluble, and that it played a role in all-cause disease. So that's pretty convincing and pretty huge. It's trying to understand how it does all that.
I think that's where all the research is still happening, like the guest I had a few months back. It's like It's all still unfolding. And I guess then we can extrapolate from that it really does decrease your risk for so many kind of common chronic diseases in this country, and thus adding to people's health span, sure, and also extending their lifespan, which is why I guess they're calling it the secret weapon for longevity. Is that true?
Yeah. I mean, what happens is, we talk about this, your lifespan, your health span, or your chronological age versus your biological age. And with chronological age, if you're not paying attention, exercise is a piece of that. Your gut health just dysbiosis, like a gut imbalance, and less diversity. So your biological age, however, is related better to having more gut, all of this diversity. And inflammation, this chronic inflammation that happens as we age, muscle loss, all of these things work together. And so with healthy aging, you have more diverse gut, you have less inflammation, you have better muscle, you have a better immune system, and it seems to impact all of these different disease states and mood, depression, its role in obesity, its role in all of these different chronic diseases that we think about almost as being inevitable with age.
Right. And we shouldn't think that way at all, as we now know. Okay,
Right.
so now that we've heard from you, Heidi, the expert on why is it important? Why do we need it? What does it do to our bodies? And what happens to our bodies if we don't have enough of it? Now let's get into the specifics. What is the ideal amount of fiber that we should be getting every day? What is that?
So basically, the idea is that for every 1,000 calories, there's 14 grams of fiber. That's a general rule. Adults less than 50, that equals then approximately 25 grams of fiber for women, 38 grams for men. Adults 50 and older, women might be more like 21 grams, men 30. Doesn't have to be, depends how active you are and how much you're eating. And that reduction has to do also with, because it can make you feel full, we want to be sure are you taking less calories, and also making sure you get in enough, you're not so full that you're not taking in other nutrient-rich foods.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the goal. But to understand that a food source having 2 or more grams of fiber is kind of considered a good source of fiber. So if you think about getting 2 or 3 good sources of fiber at each meal, that's 2, 4, 6, 12, 18, some at snacks. That's how you kind of can imagine getting there, by choosing actually a few good sources at each meal. And of course, some have more than 2. Some can have 5, or beans are really pack them in there.
Yeah. I'm obsessed. As you can hear, I get obsessed with things. I'm obsessed with cannellini beans at the moment.
Okay. But it's red beans, it's black beans, it's lentil,
Sure.
It's all sorts of beans. But, you can have quinoa, or you can have fruits, you can have vegetables. It's all in plant-based foods, nuts and seeds. Certainly some have more than others. And these prebiotics, again, I don't really think we need to mince and make sure you're only having these, but there is a list of sort of prebiotic foods, and that would include things like apples and artichokes and asparagus and banana and barley and berries, dandelion greens, flaxseed, garlic, beans and peas, green vegetables, oats, onions, tomatoes, soybeans, wheat. There's lots.
There's lots out there. I think that we just never, until recently, we never really put a label to all of those, that category of foods as fiber, and made it so important, and really brought it, kind of raised the awareness of fiber, this group of foods that we really need to make sure we're getting.
Right.
So, I applaud everyone. And again, I want to give credit where credit is due. Dan Buettner, who follows those Blue Zone people from around the world. And he has made a case that all of these people who live to 100 and beyond, they all eat beans and lots of fiber every single day. It's just like a part of their lives. They don't think about it. They just do it.
Right. But there's a lot of things. There's genetics. There's the environment. There's the walking and the activity. Remember, it's not just one vertical. It's
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's the social. But today we are focusing on that one vertical. Now, Heidi, okay, as we get older, now we kind of got that baseline of what you should be getting. As you get older, I know from that gut microbiome expert that we want more diversity happening in our gut microbiome. And we also know that with aging, natural aging, it becomes less diverse. So therefore, we have to work a little harder to make it more diverse, right? Okay, we got that. Do we need more fiber as we get older?
I don't believe the issue is more. I think the issue is diversity. So I eat berries probably every single day.
Me too.
Yeah, but actually, Instead of having just strawberries, it's better to have strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, right? Raspberries. And, instead of having one type of lettuce, to have a mixed lettuce thing. Instead of having one, like just almonds, have mixed, because it's the variety more than the quantity that is really important.
Good point. So you're saying then to get the diversity in your system inside, you really want to have a more diverse group of
different things. Right. And that's actually what's really important.
Okay. So you've already mentioned a lot of the sources. Are there any that you wanted to add to that? Like
I
any?
want to just tell you like an example. I use this actually in one of the talks that I give. Like, here's an example of a meal when you think like, oh, how can I do that? So here's like a very typical, easy, accessible, no matter where you are in the country kind of sandwich, like lunch. A turkey sandwich on white bread with a little bit of mayo, small bag of pretzels, right? That seems like a pretty good, not a high fat meal. I'm not going to get right. Like a pretty good, like here, right?
Got a little protein in there too.
Got protein in there, right? That's 2.6 grams of fiber. Now take that sandwich and put it on whole grain bread. And it goes from 1.6 grams of fiber to 3 grams of fiber. Now, instead of the mayo, 0 grams of fiber, put a quarter of an avocado on. That's 2.3 grams of fiber. Now, instead of that bag of pretzels, have an apple. That's 2.8 grams of fiber. That meal went from 2.6 grams of fiber to 8.1 grams of fiber. So again, instead of going 2, 4, 6, that's like most people get 11 grams or less per day. Now that meal is 8 grams of fiber, 8, 16, 24. So a few changes equal a big difference.
Yeah.
When it's magnified over time.
Absolutely. And you know what I've been doing? I did mention my obsession with cannellini beans. So I've been just like sauteing up a whole bunch of mixed vegetables, just whatever I get in the store, all different colors. And then I add a can of cannellini beans to that. And very often we'll have that with rice, or add some chicken or salmon. And, you've got a lot of fiber and protein happening in that meal. And then for breakfast, right? Oatmeal?
Sure, you can do oatmeal. Mm-hmm. To get your protein in too. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you can do oatmeal, but you can do berries. You can do whole grain bread. I mean, there are a lot of options, right? And back to beans, like you can certainly add beans, like you're saying, you could do like a bean soup, you could do a lentil salad. There's lots of different ways that you can add. You can have a plant-based meal, or it could be plant-based, but not plant only, like a chili. It could be chili, just a bean chili, or chili that does have meat, but you're extending it with using the beans and still getting in. So there's lots of different ways to begin to do that.
Yep. And pretty easy too. And I think fairly accessible, right? Like this is not too complicated. Question for you. And someone actually asked me this the other day when I mentioned that I was going to be doing an episode focusing on fiber. We can get supplements for everything these days. I'm assuming I already know your answer, best to get it from food rather than taking a fiber supplement, like some kind of fiber supplement, right?
Right. So fiber supplements, like again, we won't get into sort of medical reasons that you may not want to strain or, like there's sometimes reason for that. But in general, there are two types of supplement that out there. I mean, there's more, but there's, that usually are like psyllium or bran. And so that you're not going to get the diversity, right?
Right.
From that supplement. And you're not certainly going to get all the nutrients that also accompany. When you take an orange, it has fiber, but you're getting also vitamin C and hesperidin and like all the different nutrients in that orange.
Yeah.
Same thing for all of these, all of the phytonutrients that are found in all of these plant-based foods. You're not going to get that in the supplement. So, of course, I encourage food first.
Across the board. Yeah, definitely. Yes. The only, I think, caveat to that is probably vitamin D. I know we're going outside of our little lane right now, but vitamin D, it's very hard to get in food. And
there are definitely times when supplements are indicated. And that would even be true for fiber.
Yeah.
There are reasons you might need to take a fiber supplement.
Right.
There are times in life where medications you might be taking that are binding, and taking a supplement with fiber supplement might help, or prune juice. But in general, to answer your question, if you're talking about taking it as a way to improve your gut, the diversity of your gut, that's not going to happen with a fiber supplement. It might help your regularity.
Right. But it's not going to help that diversity that we really, really want. By the way, you mentioned prune juice, and I don't want to leave this conversation without giving a little credit to prunes. I mean, prunes, as we know, studies show, and I don't even think they really understand why this happens, but apparently prunes help fight inflammation or inflammaging, as you put it before, which, we want to do everything we can to keep inflammation out of our bodies. So I just think, and I take 4 prunes a day, and that adds to my fiber level as well. So that's like a little habit I picked up along the way in this past year. So Heidi, okay, before we kind of say our goodbyes, wrap up, give us please 3 key takeaways that you really want to make sure the GRUFFtalk audience remembers from our conversation today.
3 keys as it relates to fiber, which is just, you have 3 meals. So each try to aim for, so it would be, aim for more fiber by really trying to be specific with 2 or 3 good sources at each meal. Diversity. So try to expand your food choices. I think it's easy not to because we all kind of eat the same 15 foods. So try to begin to expand that a little bit. And what would be my third as it relates to fiber?
Eat prunes.
Yeah.
Sure. Oh, Heidi, thank you so much. And, and I know that you jumped on this during a very, very busy day. I so appreciate it because, when I become obsessed about something, I have to get to the bottom of it. So I had to do it today.
Yeah.
So thank you again. And I know that you'll be back soon.
Thank you so much.
Talk to you soon. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you enjoyed this episode of GRUFFtalk, please do 2 things. First, share it with all your friends and family, and subscribe to GRUFFtalk wherever you listen to podcasts, including YouTube, so you never miss a single episode. Until next time, remember this: we can't control getting older, but we can control how we do it. Talk to you soon. Age Better Podcast is a proud member of the Sound Advice Network. Sound Advice, women's voices amplified.